My marriage was wonderful. My wife and I were like water, always together and close. I have worked hard to ensure a good life for myself and my wife, but everything radically changes when my friend from the gym notices a shocking discovery. He claims that my wife has a relationship with another man. You need to make sure of this personally. Enjoy watching. I have been blissfully happily married for the last 13 years. We were that very couple who are called one whole. We went to the same gym, ate together, and as I thought, kept all the secrets. However, last week the whole story of my life took an unexpected turn. Out of the blue, my gym buddy Frank called me. He's an incredibly loyal guy, and if he had something to share, I knew it was important. He urged me to be careful, hinting at a hidden connection he noticed in the gym between my wife Melissa and another guy named Larry, known for his reputation as a gambler. At first I brushed it off. No way. Not Melissa. And certainly not us. It was incredibly hard for me to believe it. I believed that we were a team. But then Frank noticed their strange communication on Thursdays. On Thursdays I had to stay late because of my work, sacrificing myself for our comfortable life. Melissa went to the gym alone at the time to keep fit, and it turned out that Larry knew about this routine. Driven by a sense of fear, I did something I had never done before. I looked through Melissa's phone. What I found in the message thread of a little-known messaging app, rather than its main app, shocked me. Reading each message felt like a punch in the gut. They planned to meet on the upcoming Thursday, intending to leave the gym at different times and meet at a nearby hotel. Larry will arrive first, get ready, and Melissa will join him in 20 minutes. It was like reading a melodrama script, but it was reality, my life. Despite the turmoil of anger, betrayal, and heartache inside me, an unusual sense of calm and determination enveloped me like an icy shroud. I'm not one to play the victim. I am a man of action, stoic in many ways. When I type this in a dark room, it's late, and Melissa is sleeping in our bed, oblivious to the storm that is about to hit her. Her phone is next to me, incriminating evidence shining brightly in the dark. I'm not going to let this slip away. I will not sit idly by while my marriage collapses. I plan to destroy this little scheme, but the exact method has yet to be determined. What is certain is that I will not allow myself to become a pawn. It's a kind of war, a battle of the intellect, and my strategy is to strike where it hurts the most. My retribution will be calculated and fair, fueled by a deep sense of betrayal and injustice. My determination should not be misinterpreted as cruelty. It is a reaction to the deep wounds inflicted by betrayal. I'll come back and share the result. But now I need to plan, strategize so that every detail fits perfectly into its place. The game ends with only the last move, and rest assured, I intend to make that last move. This may be my darkest hour, but it's also my time to rise up, regain my dignity and self-respect, ensuring that this game ends in my triumph. The stage is set, the dice are thrown, and my wife finds out that this Thursday is a day she will never forget. Until then, I remain a wronged man, a husband who was betrayed but by no means defeated. I will do it. I didn't sleep well and I woke up completely sleepy. But my wife's betrayal pushed me forward. It was my point of strength. Initially, I arranged with several trustworthy colleagues to handle my workload by allowing me to leave the office early, disrupting my daily routine for an unexpected meeting. It was a secret meeting on Thursday that changed the dynamics of my marriage and the life of another man. After careful investigation, I discovered the shocking truth. Larry, who invaded my married life, was not as lonely as he pretended. He had a wife who, like me, did not notice her husband's infidelity, and in addition to this they had children. I was honestly shocked when I found out. The chessboard was set up and I was ready to make my move. I made a call, a seemingly simple action with profound consequences. I decided to call his wife. Larry's wife, whom we'll call Sarah, replied with unsuspecting joy, and we struck up a conversation. Now let the tension of this discussion drag on. Fast forward to that Thursday night. Thanks to information from my gym buddy Frank, I knew when Larry left the gym for a meeting. My heart was pounding like a war drum as I parked my car across the street from the specified hotel, watching and waiting. About 5 minutes after Larry entered the hotel, another car pulled up. Sarah arrived. We parked discreetly, away from prying eyes, in the breakfast area adjacent to the lobby. It was an eerie lull before the storm, reminiscent of the silence preceding the storm. My mind was spinning, and yet I felt an unusual sense of calm. The stakes were high, but so was my determination. Then Melissa came in. As she passed the breakfast area, I called out to her, "Hi, honey." The shock on her face reflected the deer caught in the headlights, dilated eyes, parted lips, and considerable pallor. Her surprise at finding me in a place she least expected was obvious. "Come in here and let's talk for a minute," I said. She hesitated, and I walked in slowly, and she glanced at Sarah before turning her gaze back to me. There was a fleeting moment when she seemed to consider the possibility that I might be in a hotel with another woman. Her expression almost turned to relief until I introduced Sarah as Larry's wife. Her demeanor instantly changed. She began apologizing profusely, expressing shock. However, I cut her off with a dismissive gesture, and Sarah shot her a disapproving look. I asked sternly, "Which room is he in?" My voice broke through the tension. Melissa hesitated, and Sarah, teetering on the verge of an emotional breakdown, repeated my question, demanding to know which room. I repeated my question, this time in a cold and unyielding tone. After what seemed like an eternity, Melissa muttered,
"Room 415.
And left. I insisted on Melissa's phone, meeting initial resistance. However, my gaze left no room for disobedience, and she reluctantly gave it away. Surprisingly, she changed her password. After one glance at me, she muttered the code 6901. I accessed her phone, found the communication app they were using, and sent Larry a message telling him I'd be right there. Resolutely, I headed for room 415. The hallway fell into an almost deafening silence as I stood in front of the door. My heart was pounding, and I took a deep breath and knocked. Larry opened the door, his face turned pale when he saw me. Surprise turned to horror when I entered, grabbed him by the hair and pushed him into a chair. His eyes widened in horror, and the smell of fear permeated the room. Perhaps he even got his pants a little dirty. In the face of confrontation, Larry's bravado crumbled to dust. He cringed pitifully, and I was overwhelmed by a cold satisfaction. Grabbing him by the back of the head, I uttered a stern warning, explaining my intentions. "Listen, Larry, get out of our lives, get out of the gym, and never mess with Melissa again. Is that clear?" Larry murmured an uncertain agreement. I continued by warning him that if he didn't comply, Sarah would find out about everything, even though she already knew everything. He begged me not to involve her, expressing remorse for his mistake and promising to obey if I let him go without revealing the truth to Sarah. The fear in his eyes was palpable, and he mentally fulfilled the promises I demanded. After a few more slaps to make sure, I walked out, leaving him trembling in his chair. Of course, he could have threatened legal action, but let's face it, this guy wasn't going to take any significant steps. He knew he was being stupid. Back in the lobby, I bumped into Melissa and saw her face. An expression of shock and horror showed on Melissa's face. Obviously, her conversation with Sarah had not gone well. Pointing to the door, I told her to go home, and she left in tears, realizing the seriousness of her actions. Sarah, pale but collected, asked about the result. I told her that I thought I had delivered my message, wished her luck, and left. Back home, the confrontation continued. Melissa tried to explain and defend her case. However, I wasn't interested. Her actions spoke louder than any words. I advised her to prepare for the move, and she reluctantly agreed. Her remorse had no effect on my resolve. After a week, Melissa and I coexisted in the same house, leading parallel lives. She tried to revive what had been lost, but it was too late. She was no longer the woman I loved. She was a stranger. I made it clear that there was no hope of seeing her the way she was before. I expect to hear from Sarah soon, and if that happens, I will provide an update on her situation. In this final post, I want to express gratitude for following my journey. Your support has meant a lot. I've received numerous private messages about Sarah and Melissa, and it's time to clarify. A few weeks after the confrontation, Sarah called, her voice reflecting anxiety. She recounted her encounter with Larry at the hotel where, expecting to leave, he was met with his wife's cold gaze in the breakfast area. He dropped to his knees, pleading for forgiveness. Sarah, being compassionate, decided to give him a chance. They're now attending marriage counseling to salvage what remains. I wish her peace and happiness, whether they stay together or not. Regarding Melissa, she has moved out, and our communication is strictly through lawyers. I won't let her transgressions disrupt my peace any longer. My divorce will be finalized soon, and while I'll have to pay some alimony, I see it as the price for peace and dignity. As for my future, I'm uncertain about another marriage. For now, I want to focus on work, pursue passions overshadowed during my married life, go to the gym, attend concerts, and fulfill my dream of traveling to Europe. This experience taught me that life is unpredictable. We must adapt and find strength in adversity. I'm standing strong, grateful for the chance to move on.
How do you like the story? Write your opinion in the comments. Tell us what you would do if, God forbid, you found yourself in a similar situation. I think that the man did the right thing. Even if it was under strong emotional influence, what do you think? Now we move on to the second story. It is short, but also no less interesting.
I need to share this unbelievable experience with you guys. It's been the most surreal and crazy event of my life, and I'm not sure if I'll ever fully recover. Here's what happened. Deborah, my new wife, cheated on our honeymoon. We were at a beautiful beach resort celebrating our love. But on the second day, Deborah's behavior became odd. She would disappear for extended periods, and my suspicions peaked on the fourth day when I decided to follow her. To my dismay, I witnessed her entering a different room with a man she had been interacting with at the resort. Devastated and angry, I quickly went back to our room, packed our luggage, and made the impulsive decision to ghost her entirely. I left her with just the swimsuit she was wearing and her ID, which I left at the front desk when checking out. It was an extreme move, but I wanted to make it as difficult as possible for her to get back home, buying time for me to retrieve my belongings before she could catch up. As I left the resort, my emotions were all over the place, but I was determined to stand by my decision. Days later, Deborah's mother called, berating me for my actions. Apparently, Deborah was in panic mode when she realized I was gone. Locked out of our room with no clothes, money, or a phone, she had to call her parents for help. Deborah eventually revealed that she cheated on me at the hotel. While I couldn't care less about her suffering, Deborah's ordeal continued. The rental car she got had a faulty gas gauge, and she ran out of gas, stranded on the side of the road. She called for roadside assistance, adding to her humbling experience. I moved out of our apartment long before she returned, not leaving a note or responding to her numerous attempts to contact me. Her betrayal was too deep, and I changed my phone number, blocked her, and cut off all communication. In the aftermath, messages poured in from her friends and family, berating or sympathizing with me. I didn't respond to any of them, convinced I had made the right choice. Weeks later, I received a long letter from Deborah, apologizing and trying to justify her actions. Despite the pain in her words, it didn't change the fact that she had betrayed me in the worst possible way. I haven't spoken to her since. That's the end of my story.
What conclusion can you draw? Write your opinion in the comments and which story you liked the most. As a support, please like and subscribe to the channel. I will be pleased. Bye.